Alright, let's get one thing straight. Dealers make their real money on service, not sales. Those shiny showrooms, they're basically funded by your repair bills. But here's what they don't want you to know. There are 10 motorcycles so reliable, so bulletproof, that buying one is like stealing money from their service department. We're talking machines that'll fire up every morning, right through hell and back, and still be running strong when your dealer goes out of business. Today, we're counting down the top 10 motorcycles so reliable that dealers actually hate selling them. Stick around because number 1 has service managers literally discouraging customers from buying it, and you'll understand why when you see the maintenance costs. Number 10, Honda Super Cub. This little underdog has been destroying dealer profit margins since 1985. And it's still going strong. We're talking about a 50cc to 125cc engine that's so reliable, it makes service riders cry themselves to sleep at night. I spoke with a former Honda dealer who told me something shocking. Management actually discourages us from pushing Super Cubs because customers will disappear for years. We'd sell someone a Super Cub and literally never see them again except for oil changes. This bike can do 100,000 miles with nothing but basic oil changes and maybe a spark plug. That's a problem when dealers need you coming back every few months with repair bills. The Super Cub is so reliable that in some Asian countries, they use them as business tools for decades without major service. But here's what dealers really hate. The Super Cub has created customer expectations that motorcycles should just work. When someone owns a Super Cub for 10 years with zero problems, they start questioning why their dealer wants $800 for essential services on other bikes. Sure, it's not winning any speed contests with that 125cc engine, and highway riding feels like you're pedaling uphill in a hurricane. The seat comfort is about as luxurious as a park bench, and the suspension will introduce you to every crack in the pavement personally. But here's the thing, dealers can't stand BE. It just keeps working. No drama, no expensive breakdowns, no profitable repair opportunities. Just reliable transportation that costs them money every time they sell one. Number 9. Yamaha XT500. Picture this. It's 1979, first ever Paris-Dakar rally, and some crazy rider decides to cross the Sahara Desert on the motorcycle. Not only does he win on the Yamaha XT500, but he does it again the next year on the same bike. That kind of reliability keeps service departments awake at night. The XT500 499cc 4-stroke single is what dealers call a nightmare scenario. An engine so bulletproof that it actually earns its reputation. With proper care, these things hit 50,000 to 70,000 miles on the original engine. And that's a problem when dealers are counting on engine rebuilds and major services to pay their bills. A former Yamaha service manager told me, "We used to joke that if an XT500 came in for anything other than oil changes, the customer was probably doing something wrong." These bikes were so reliable, they made us look incompetent when customers asked why their other bikes needed constant work. But here's what really annoys dealers. The XT500 created a generation of riders who expect motorcycles to be tough, simple, and fixable. When your bike survives desert racing, customers start questioning why their dealer charges $400 to diagnose a simple electrical problem. The only thing dealers love about the XT500? No electric start, just that old school kickstart that'll fight you like an angry mule. At least that creates some service opportunities when riders hurt themselves trying to start it. But mechanically, it's a service department's worst nightmare. Number 8. Kawasaki KLR 650, the military bike that destroyed dealer dreams. When the US military chose the KLR for combat duty, they weren't looking for flashy features or complicated electronics. They needed something that would work when failure meant life or death. That kind of reliability is exactly what dealers hate to see on civilian bikes. The KLR 650 was designed to be soldier-proof, which means it's definitely dealer-proof. These bikes can run forever on basic maintenance, survive abuse that would kill other motorcycles, and be fixed with basic tools in the field. That's a nightmare scenario for service departments that depend on complicated repairs and expensive diagnostics. Here's what a former Kawasaki dealer told me. Corporate actually warned us about the KLR's reliability affecting our service revenue. They said we needed to focus on selling accessories and gear because these bikes just don't break down enough to be profitable long term. The military connection makes it worse for dealers because customers expect military grade reliability. When your bike was good enough for combat zones, Riders start questioning why they need expensive premium services that other bikes supposedly require. But dealers do love one thing about the KLR. Finding parts for older models can be challenging, which creates some aftermarket opportunities. Still, the basic reliability of these machines means customers aren't visiting service departments nearly often enough to keep the lights on. Number 7. Suzuki DRZ 400, the unchanged legend that refuses to break. Since 2000, the DRZ 400 has been the same bike, and that consistency is exactly what dealers hate. When a motorcycle design is so good that it doesn't need constant updates, improvements, or reliability fixes, it creates a problem for service departments that depend on solving engineering problems. This 398cc liquid-cooled single is what dealers call a set it and forget it nightmare. It makes just enough power to be fun, handles everything you throw at it, and maintains itself so well that customers forget they own a motorcycle that needs service. A former Suzuki service advisor revealed, "The DRZ was our least profitable bike per unit sold. Customers would buy them and disappear for months. When they did come in, it was just for oil changes and maybe new tires. We couldn't make money on these things." The DRZ is like that reliable friend who never changes, never complains, and never needs anything. Great for riders, terrible for dealer profit margins. It just works. And just works is the enemy of service department revenue. Number 6. Honda XR650L, the apocalypse survivor that won't die. Launched in the early 90s, the XR650L was Honda's attempt to build something that could survive the end of the world. Mission accomplished. And that's exactly the problem for dealers who need bikes that actually break down occasionally. This 644cc air-cooled thumper doesn't care about your feelings, dealer service schedules, or profit margins. It just runs forever. Many owners report 50,000 to 60,000 plus miles before needing to open the engine. And that kind of longevity is a service department's worst nightmare. Here's what a Honda dealer service manager told me. "The XR650L customers were the worst for our business model. They'd buy the bike, disappear for years, then come back bragging about how it never broke down. It made other customers question why their bikes needed constant attention." But dealers do love one thing. It's tall enough that short riders will drop it occasionally, creating some minor repair opportunities. Still, the basic bulletproof nature of the XR650L means it's not generating the service revenue that keeps dealerships profitable. Number 5. Yamaha WR250R, the lightweight giant killer. The WR250R punches so far above its weight class that it makes dealers question why they sell bigger, more complicated bikes that break more often. This isn't just some beginner bike. It's a 250cc machine that earns respect from experts and costs dealers money every time someone discovers what it can do. The liquid-cooled, fuel-injected 250cc engine screams like a banshee and refuses to quit. It's light, reliable, and has fully adjustable suspension that actually works. That combination is what dealers call a profit killer, because customers stop needing bigger, more expensive bikes with higher service requirements. A former Yamaha sales manager revealed, "The WR250R was our biggest problem bike, not because it broke down, but because it never broke down. Customers would buy them expecting to upgrade in a year, then keep them for decades, because they realized they didn't need anything bigger." Unfortunately for riders, Yamaha stopped making it in 2020, and used ones hold their value like gold. Dealers actually celebrated when production ended because it meant customers would have to consider less reliable alternatives. Number 4. BMW R80 GS, the original adventure bike that started it all. Released in 1980, the R80 GS created the adventure bike category and immediately became a dealer's worst nightmare. A motorcycle so reliable and capable that customers stopped buying anything else for serious riding. That 800cc air-cooled boxer engine with shaft drive is what service managers call the problem. No chain maintenance, no complicated cooling systems, just a motor that runs forever with basic care. These things are known to hit 200,000 miles and still chug along, which is exactly what dealers don't want to hear. Here's what a former BMW dealer told me. The R80 GS customers were fanatics. They ride these bikes around the world, rack up insane mileage, and never need major service. Meanwhile, we're trying to sell newer BMWs that required constant computer updates and expensive repairs. The R80GS won the Paris-Dakar Rally repeatedly, proving that reliability and simplicity beat complexity and fancy electronics. That kind of real-world validation makes it impossible for dealers to convince customers they need complicated, service-intensive modern bikes. Number 3. Royal Enfield Bullet, the 100-year survivor that dealers fear. Here's the motorcycle that proves dealers wrong about everything in production. In production since 1931, nearly 100 years of continuous manufacturing, and still going strong. That kind of longevity is a dealer's absolute worst nightmare, because it proves motorcycles can be simple, reliable, and profitable for customers instead of dealers. The Bullet single-cylinder engine is so basic that any mechanic can fix it anywhere in the world with simple tools. That's exactly what dealers hate. Customers who don't need specialized service, expensive diagnostics, or proprietary parts. A former Royal Enfield dealer revealed, corporate warned us that Bullet customers were different. They'd buy the bike, maintain it themselves, and rarely need professional service. The profit margins were terrible compared to other brands that kept customers coming back for expensive repairs. The Bullet is especially popular in places where reliability means survival, like the Himalayas or rural areas. That real-world validation proves you don't need complicated electronics or frequent dealer visits for dependable transportation. Number 2. Yamaha Tenere 700, the desert racer that refuses service. Born from the legendary XT500 Tenere that conquered the Paris-Dakar Rally, the T7 carries that DNA of bulletproof reliability that keeps service departments up at night. This isn't just marketing dollars. It's a motorcycle engineered to cross continents without seeing a dealer. The 689cc CP2 engine is proven, reliable, and boring in the best possible way. It makes good power, returns excellent fuel economy, and just works without drama. Customers regularly report 50,000 to 70,000 miles before needing major service, and that consistency is a dealer profit killer. Here's what a Yamaha service manager told me. The Tenere customers were impossible to upsell. They'd come in for oil changes and decline everything else because the bike just didn't need it. These machines made our other bikes look unreliable by comparison. People have ridden the T7 across Africa, through the Amazon, across Mongolia, brutal conditions that will destroy lesser machines. But the Tenere just keeps going, proving that reliability isn't about dealer support. It's about solid engineering. What dealers really hate is the T7's simplicity. No complicated ride modes, no fragile electronics, just a raw connection between rider and machine that works anywhere in the world. That kind of independence is exactly what dealers fear most. Number 1. Honda CBR 1000RR Fireblade, the track weapon that never needs surgery. Here's the bike that makes dealers question their entire business model. A 999cc inline-4 superbike that's faster than lightning but reliable as a hammer. This isn't supposed to happen. Track weapons should be fragile, temperamental, and constantly needing expensive service. But Honda built something different. The Fireblade screams past 13,000 RPM like it's begging for more, handles like a dream, and somehow manages to be reliable enough for daily use. That combination is what dealers call impossible because it breaks their assumptions about performance versus reliability. Here's what a Honda service manager revealed. The Fireblade customers were our biggest problem. They tracked these bikes, beat them mercilessly, and they just wouldn't break. We had sport bike customers with 40,000 plus miles on original engines, which made it impossible to sell service packages to other riders. What really bothers dealers is that the Fireblade proves you don't have to choose between performance and reliability. When a track weapon is more dependable than a touring bike, customers start questioning everything dealers tell them about race-bred machines needing constant attention. The electronics are top tier, ride modes, wheelie control, quick shifter, launch control, but they actually work without constant updates or failures. That's a nightmare for dealers who count on electronic problems to generate service revenue. Sure, it's not a beginner's bike, and the seat feels like it was designed by someone who hates comfort. Long rides require serious padding, and if you're not an expert rider, it'll humble you real quick. But mechanically, it's Honda reliability in a superbike package. The Fireblade represents everything dealers fear, a high-performance motorcycle that doesn't need their constant attention to stay running. It's proof that reliability and performance aren't opposites, and that's a lesson dealers would prefer customers never learn.